Everyone over the age of 11 will have to wear a face mask, and only a limited number of visitors will be allowed at once. And once inside, can only climb the tower by stairs. The elevators will open in July.
Well, stay-at-home orders went into effect about 3 months ago here in California, and as more businesses start to open up, the idea of going back to work, believe it or not, can actually trigger new stress and anxiety for some people.
Here with some tips to cope if you are nervous about going back to work, which I'm sure you're not alone, is organizational psychologist and author of Insight and Bankable Leadership, Dr. Tasha Eurich. Thank you for being with us, Doctor.
Thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it. Let's start with some tips to be happier and less stressed at work in the new normal. Where to even start?
Where to even start? Well, the bottom line is this is a stressful time. It's unprecedented. And 91% of employees expect their employer to help with their mental health. But the reality is right now, most companies are just in survival mode. And so my advice is to focus on the things you can control. And as it turns out, there are quite a few of those.
So what kind of questions then can you just ask yourself to make you feel a little bit better and more in control?
So just to start, 3 small things you can do every day at work, little things that will have a big impact. So the first is once you get back in the office, you really think about how can I support my mental and physical health today? What can I do? What's one thing? Number 2, what's something that's completely out of my control that I'm going to work on making peace with? And then last but not least, what is the best version of today? In other words, what would today look like at its best? And all 3 of those are evidence-based, scientifically supported questions that can help lessen that anxiety and increase our optimism.
And good questions for even people who have been working to look at those and ask themselves as they head into work. What about, there's always silver lining. How can employees use this fresh start to set better boundaries for themselves?
This is a really good point. I think, we have the opportunity not just to redesign our workspaces when we come back, but redesign our work life. And so what I challenge everybody to do is maybe think about that biggest well-being barrier at work from the old world. Maybe it's back-to-back meetings or you never take a lunch. And think about what's one small change you can make to lessen that in the new reality. And the reason I suggest this and kind of setting better boundaries is everything is so crazy anyway. People are probably not going to notice small changes. And so if you just do it without fanfare and apology, to do it as something for yourself, it can go a long way.
Yeah, a lot of people out there have probably gotten used to working at home, but what if the office calls, the boss says, hey, it's time to come back in.
You sound pretty good.
Don't feel comfortable with it. What do you do about that?
I think it's damn good.
Well, the first thing is you're not alone. Less than half of employees surveyed recently were ready to come back to work. And I think with a lot of the protocols that are in place, they're only going to 25 or 50% capacity. And so what I'd suggest is call your boss, call your HR department. You might have some coverage under some of the expanded family leave protections, but even if you don't, ask if there's any way that you can delay it a couple weeks if possible. The second tip I'd have is to talk to people, if it's already opened up, your office, talk to people who have already gone back. Ask them, how do they feel about it? What tips do they have? What do they wish they had known on their first day back? Those are the types of things that can really give us, make us empowered.
So helpful.
All right, Dr. Eurich, good insight. Of course, you can find the doctor on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or at TashaEurich.com.
Thank you. Yeah, that's going to be helpful for a lot of people as they're heading back to work. I feel like
we never left.
Yeah, we never left.
But a lot of people go like, hey, I know you. Haven't seen you in a while.